DC's Aaron Tinjum and the Tangents released their new full-length album, Foreign and Domestic, earlier this year, with a release show at Rock and Roll Hotel, Rock and Roll Hotel, the folk rock group originally from Austin, Texas, where they were recognized by the Austin mayor and the city council with their own official band holiday. They relocated back up to DC, and we consider ourselves so lucky to have them here back in 2013, and are continuing that great tradition of awesome music up here in DC. So, guys, I first heard about these guys when I stumbled across them online. They submitted their stuff to me. I was listening. I saw the bit about, if you haven't seen, there was a video we talked about on October 11th as their official band holiday in Austin, Texas. And on October 11th this year, I did a little info about them and posted a video about that experience, and basically just really cool stuff happening. So bottom line is, listeners, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce Aaron Tinjum and the Tangents. I've got Aaron Tinjum and Andrew Cody with me. So say hi, guys.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Wow, Aaron and Andrew. And so now tell us about, I'm curious right off the bat, where does Aaron Tinjum and the Tangents, where did the name come from?
Well, we originally formed in Austin, Texas about 5 years ago. And as I was putting together the project with some of the other members, we were doing what every band does, debating what we should call ourselves.
Yep, happens a lot.
And I don't think any of the members wanted full ownership over the songs. Since I was writing over them, they didn't want to be associated with my saddest emotions.
Oh, okay.
So we conducted a Facebook poll, and the Tangents was the ultimate winner. You know, I'm not sure that's a solid methodology for selecting a band name, but that's what won, and that's what's stuck ever since.
Got it. So a Facebook poll. I love that. All right. Aaron Tinjum and the Tangents. And now, how did you guys come together?
So, I mean, it's been a gradual process. So, originally started with our latest album we released earlier this year, Foreign and Domestic. We had 6 players on that, with Andrew on drums over here. Andrew was found here in DC at the Treehouse Lounge.
Nice.
He was playing before
Treehouse.
us, and we were looking for a new drummer, having relocated out here. We had a violinist, Katie Smith. Bass player also moved from Austin, Andrew Berglund. Andrew introduced us to a great pianist, David Chavez, who plays on the album. And our banjo player, who didn't move out to DC, still in Austin, recorded remotely, but actually came out for the album release show.
Yeah, we're working on getting them moving out here soon. So
Yep.
we'll see.
Very cool. How do you convince people to come to DC? Is Austin, I mean, I've heard great things about, in DC, they talk about great things about Austin. So what made you move to DC?
Well, I'd love to take credit for convincing other people to move to Austin, but I don't think, or to DC. I don't think I can do that. But I think musically, compared to Austin, you have a very supportive community here. Not that you don't have that in Austin, but in Austin, you know, everyone's a musician. So your audience is full of musicians.
Sure.
Whereas here, you might have a real live listening audience that isn't critiquing your every chord.
I guess that's good. All right, so it's a good place to move. And then what about, so now on a personal side, you guys, outside of Aaron Tinjum and the Tangents, what's life like for you guys? What do you do?
I guess I can jump in here. So I work professionally as a musician, but as you know, you've experienced, Brian, that takes many different forms. So I teach. So I teach at George Mason University. I work in the School of Music there, as well as the Honors College, and so I teach classes ranging from ear training to intro to research methods and kind of everything in between.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I do that, and then I also work at church, Truro, in Fairfax, Virginia, nearby, and I direct the choirs there, and I'm sort of composer in residence as well, and so I do a lot of arranging and composing, and so.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so drums is your main instrument, but clearly you play a lot more.
Yeah, so I'm trained as a percussionist, but in high school I learned how to play guitar, kind of self-taught, and same thing with bass and piano. Yeah, and just from there I studied music education, and I kind of was on a one-way trajectory to do music, and have been able to kind of piece together a living doing it.
That's amazing, and I love the fact that you're doing it. I'm a drummer too, but I got a day job, and I can imagine that it's a big leap of faith to get started and probably a challenge and some struggles sometimes, but it has to be pretty rewarding too, and I admire you for that.
Oh, thanks. Supportive wife has helped.
Support. Shout out to the supportive wife.
That's
I
right.
hope she's
and
listening.
She has
wow.
she has the day job, so that's also helpful.
Aha! It's a team effort.
That's
I
right.
got it.
That's right.
I love it. Okay, guys. Well, and Aaron, you skipped out on that one. What about you outside of music? Is there? Are you a hardcore marathon trainer? What else is there to Aaron?
So for my day job, you have to fund your musical and creative endeavors somehow.
Got it.
So I'm a writer full-time working in clean energy. I actually work remotely in DC.
Wow.
So that's how I fund the
remotely. So
stuff.
where's the headquarters?
The Hecht Warehouse in Ivy City.
Ivy City. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. It's a great creative community up there.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And where, for those listening who don't know where Ivy City is, which Ivy City are we talking about?
The one in far northeast Washington, D.C.
Got it. So you're working remotely from a couple of miles away.
Correct.
Okay. I'm clear. I like that. Okay, very cool. Well, what about, funniest moments from you guys performing or funniest moment that comes to mind?
Well, really, I mean, you kind of glossed over how we met, Aaron, which I thought was pretty funny. I'm
sorry.
It's okay. I mean, it's a big introduction, right? No. So anyways, so I was playing drums that night for another DC-based artist, a woman by the name of Sally Keena. Her and I met actually through the church that I work at now, and she's an amazing singer-songwriter, so definitely I would recommend if you have some time listening for her music. But anyways, so I was playing with her, and Aaron came up to me after the set and said, "Hey, do you wanna sit in and play drums with us?" I guess about a week prior to that, their other drummer just didn't show up for a gig, and that was kind of the end of the time there. So anyways, long story short, we ended up meeting then, and it turns out they were heading just the next couple of weeks to go into the studio to start working on this album, Foreign and Domestic. And so a couple days later, we were in the basement of my townhouse at that time, and we started writing this music.
Wow. And so you literally started playing with them when you were on stage?
Yeah, absolutely. The pay was great on the first gig, for sure.
Love it. Oh my God. What a crazy story. All right. Well, now what about success moments that comes to mind? What's the biggest success moment?
So success-wise, I would say definitely being on your program today.
Stop it.
This
it. That's no.
This is as high as we get.
You don't get away with that. Give me another one. I want a story.
So back in Austin,
I appreciate
like you mentioned, we wound up somewhat hilariously getting our own band Holiday, playing a wide range of random venues from furniture stores to dive bars, coffee houses, the airport. Used clothing shops.
Holy smokes. All right.
So, keeping Austin weird, that's one way they do it is every month they give away one or two holidays by official proclamation by the mayor and city council.
Aha.
So that's definitely been up there. But, since we've been playing out in D.C., we've opened up for a few great acts at Jam and Java, like Sam Amadon, who just played Bon Iver's Festival in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Kauai, who's like a looping legend now on YouTube, just churning out the covers. And then Paul McCartney's son, James, we opened for him back in June.
Wow, that's wild. And now I'm curious about the holiday thing. Do you get put in for that? Does somebody nominate you? Do they pick names out of a hat? How does that work?
They have their own app. At least when we did it, there was an application system, and we were ultimately chosen. You have to kind of show what you've been doing in the scene, like all the places you've played, how often you've played, and at that time we were playing a very long string of gigs. And
right, go for it. I love it. All right. Well, are there what rules do you always break?
Ooh, this is a good question. Aaron, why don't you jump in first?
I would say unconsciously, well, first off, we do mostly like soft rock, so soft rock isn't notorious for breaking a whole lot of rules. We like to follow the rules. But I would say unconsciously, I'm probably like the Jar Jar Binks of guitar rhythm. I just am very not good at that, and that drives Andrew crazy. So that's definitely one rule I'm breaking all the time.
Is the rhythm rule?
But I'm consistent with it. So
it's good. You're reliable about that. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, and I think my go-to thing is just adding more layers to it, and so coming up with some different string parts or piano, or adding, just different layers, always kind of being that I don't even know if it's just devil's advocate, but just always like saying, okay, what can we do to shape this a little bit more? But yeah,
Got it.
Aaron beats up on himself a little too much with the rhythm thing. But I'm the only one counting, I guess.
And Andrew's the one, and the rest of the band, all the tangents make all the songs actually good. So I just kind of come up with the idea, and they polish and clean
Got
it for
it.
me. Yep.
And they put it together. It's cool. It's cool how and especially when bands come together and they do that together. That's also really it's cool to hear. It's a cool effect too to be in those rehearsals, I think. What about one thing you've got in your music collection that would surprise us?
Well, I have sort of a weird, strange instrument collection, but my new favorite toy is an instrument called the automaton, which is it's a Japanese instrument, and it's basically if you were to combine like a digitalized slide whistle with just this crazy animated looking face that does this weird sound. And long story short, it's a synthesizer toy that's like $20 that I've definitely gotten at least $100 worth of entertainment
Out of.
Yeah.
I like it. And what about artists or interesting music that you listen to that would surprise us?
So I've been doing this whole, the cheesy 30 things to do before you turn 30.
Excellent.
And I've been doing
Okay.
that more from like an album perspective.
Uh-huh.
So I have a very eclectic mix going right now, where everything from Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis to if you've watched Westworld at all, they have a soundtrack with all of the player piano tracks, the cover songs going on in the background, which is
yeah.
pretty cool. But other than that, like Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska, Tim by The Replacements. So it's I'm going for a wide range right now.
And the last question I'd love to ask is, what's one piece of advice that you would offer?
Andrew's the professor, so I'll leave that to him.
Profess to us, Andrew.
That's another just really big tough question. Well, I guess if I mean, I know this is kind of a cliche, but just taking risks. I think a lot of the real fun that's come out of the recording process, working with Aaron, and just really any musical endeavor I've taken in, has been the uncertain ones that have gone in. Like there's never been anything really that I've been super duper proud of that came out of like, I'm doing this because I know this is safe. I think it's just a matter of really just taking that sort of risk and seeing where it goes, failing a ton, more often than not, and then just keep pushing and seeing where that leads. And everything is also connected as well. I mean, all the failures connect to the positive stuff as well.
It's true. Yeah, you got to take those risks. Now, for those folks who are interested in finding out more about you guys, where do they go if they want to follow you? What are the best places to find you guys?
So you can find us pretty much everywhere. We've got our website, www.aarontinjum or aarontinjumandthetangents.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, Tinder.
All those places.
Any of those places.
Okay, got it. And you got anything? I know you got some stuff over there, Andrew. You got any places that if they want to follow you specifically?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on Twitter and Facebook as well, and I have a website. For those of you who are classical saxophone enthusiasts, I have an album coming out in the next couple of days of some of the chamber compositions that I have, and that can be found at andrewcodymusic.com.